by Mark Kimmitt from Washington. He is the former U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for Political and Military Affairs. Mark, thanks so much for being with us. As always, you know, it's not unusual for the U.S. to find itself at odds with its counterparts. I mean, you experienced that personally in the lead up to, and following the Iraq War. But these images, inside the U.S. Capitol building, do you fear they have fundamentally changed the image of the United States abroad?
Well, if you're talking about the image, I think for a period of time it will. It's up to America to disprove what they saw yesterday. But the false information that's out there, such as a gun being fired inside of our parliament, that was an accidental discharge by one of the Capitol Police. It was an accident. It was not violence. Not like 1954 when Puerto Rican separatists came in and shot 3 members of Congress. But I agree with you. It will take some time. But again, actions will speak louder than words.
Okay, it's interesting though. You bring up the shooting there. I mean, it really looked like the gun was directly pointed at the person that was trying to break through that door, and really out of fear more than anything, because these people were storming this building, breaking the laws, having just broken all barriers to get inside the place that should have had some of the highest security in the United States. It was a frightening scene. It didn't look so much like an accidental shooting. But aside from that, we're talking again about the world image here. When you have the Chinese now relishing the images, saying, hey, at least in our protests, no one got killed. I mean, how does that make you feel? Do you think they have the right to kind of gloat?
Well, first of all, let me correct you. It was an accidental shooting, and the Capitol Police failed miserably. My father used to control the Capitol Police, and I know what they're capable of doing. They weren't ready. They should have been ready. But let's go back to the question about the image. You're right. As I said, there will be a period of time where the world will look at this, and some of the world will express a bit of schadenfreude. The Chinese, for example. The Chinese say that they are living in peace and they have a good life. In fact, they are brutally repressing separatists and independence-minded people in Hong Kong. The reason they have stability is because they used a brutal hand to depress any type of resistance. I'm not saying what we saw in Washington, D.C. yesterday was helpful or that it was honest protest. But it certainly can't be compared to the heavy thumb that the Chinese have on their own people.
Yeah, I mean, but this is the thing. They say, okay, look at your democracy. Because people in hardline governments, like China, we'll use that as the example, will say, you can have your democracy. We will take our stability and security over the chaos that we have seen now in the United States.
Well, tell that to the hundreds of thousands of Uyghurs in concentration camps, the thousands of dissidents in jail, the police state where everybody is under cameras at all times of the day. Yeah, stability and suppression, there's not a whole lot of difference.
Let me ask you, though, I mean, we've never seen anything like the last 4 years in the United States. Whether you can argue if it was good or bad, but it's pretty unprecedented, to have a political leader come from nothing to do with politics to suddenly, the most powerful position in the world. It's thrown the world off to see this in the United States. Can the U.S., do you think, come back from, I'll just call it the reputational damage that it's suffered recently?
Well, I don't know if you're asking a question or expressing an opinion, but let me give you my view. My view is that President Trump has been the voice of a segment of America that believes he's not being represented by the government, being misrepresented by the media, and being scorned upon by the liberal elites. They're the ones that are being called the deplorables by Hillary Clinton. So look, they're wrong. The actions they took were unacceptable. But America has to reconcile with this group of Americans that don't feel like they are being represented. This This is what you see in all countries that have marginalized communities. Marginalization turns to radicalization. And it will be the duty of the new administration to reach out to this community to reconcile and figure out how we can move together in a just and honest democracy.
Okay, Mark Kimmitt, thanks so much for sharing with us. We appreciate your opinion, as always. Take care.